AEW Double or Nothing, and it's really 2 years since you made your debut. And I was there in Las Vegas when you did that, and obviously you come through the crowd. Now that we think about it 2 years later and where you're at, like, what does it mean to have the crowd there again? What does it mean to feel that energy and kind of really reciprocate what you had when you first made your debut with AEW?
I think at the start of this whole thing, the crazy crowds and the crazy kind of party atmosphere at these at the live Dynamite shows were kind of, I think, what made the product kind of stand out and was super cool to be a part of, was just those crazy, real passionate wrestling fans. I think AEW's our kind of core audience with John from the beginning is like the real passionate wrestling fans and the hardcore audience and fans that really are just really into wrestling, and they want to hang around other people that are really into wrestling, and they want to talk wrestling, and they want to go to the show and make it a whole weekend like this weekend's going to be. So that's how everybody at AEW, we're all just big wrestling fans too, who just go out there and do this. And so it's like kind of like we're all on the same team, and we all just want to come out and have a really good time and put on a really good show. So as opposed to like filming a television show in an empty building, that, you know, it's not the same thing. So now it's kind of getting back to what it originally kind of was, this kind of crazy atmosphere that if you've never been to a live Dynamite or watched it or seen a pay-per-view, you should definitely check it out. You know, you watch it on TV and you're going to be like, I want to come out and be a part of that. I want to be a part of that atmosphere. And, you know, one of the goals has kind of been to make it cool to be a wrestling fan, to be okay to be like, oh yeah, like let's go to the show and let's wear our t-shirts and high five and cheer and boo and do whatever we want to do. And I think to get back to crowds, you know, that's kind of gonna get back to how AEW originally was. You know, that's what it is for me. But recording a television show can be rewarding artistically, to think of the camera shots and the cuts and the editing and all that and whatever, but to me, doing it live is what it's all about, you know.
People want to put wrestling in a box. They can call it art, they can call it a sport, whatever the case may be. Regardless of what you do, regardless of the venue that you're at, you're essentially getting the same Jon Moxley every time, and you're getting a guy who leaves his heart and soul and sometimes his blood in that ring. When you wrestle like that, and when you have that kind of mentality, I mean, obviously there's a longevity period where it's like, all right, well, you're wear and tearing on your body a little bit. Now that you're having a family in the future, do you stop to think about that a little more, or is it still just balls to the wall regardless?
Even before, regardless of having kids or anything like that, like I'm already aware that everybody's, you know, athletic window is finite, and I still got a lot of space open in mine, but I'm becoming aware of it. That like it's not as easy to just like go out there, wrestle 30 minutes every single night, drink a whole bottle of Jack, get up and run 5 miles, do it again, and don't sleep and do all this, and it's not the recovery is harder, you know, especially all these matches are, you know, even though we're not wrestling every single night, especially during the pandemic and stuff, all my matches are, I don't go out there and, you know, patty cake around. Like, these are really, really physical matches. And the recovery is a lot harder and takes longer. And it's just the natural is what it is, you know, like, so I'm aware that at some point, like, you know, if I just keep my foot to the gas pedal, at some point this machine is going to blow up. But so you got to take care of the vehicle, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you know, if I did have a kid, was about to, like, so like, I would tell them, like, hey, if you're blessed to be healthy and have the opportunity to do the things that you want to do, whatever that is, whether you want to skydive or whitewater raft or do whatever, like, don't just do it, like, while you can do it, because you know, you could get hit by a bus tomorrow, you know what I mean? So like, while if you're blessed to do the thing that you love to do and like to do, then the thing that you're like feel like you were put here to do, just do it. You know, like, so I don't necessarily, I might ease off the gas and the accelerator and slow into turns and then put the gas pedal back on or whatever, just kind of but my foot will always be right there on the gas pedal, if that makes any sense.
No, for sure, because essentially that's who you are, and I understand that. I've also been fascinated. You know, I've interviewed tons of professional athletes, and I'm always fascinated about the mindset. And so myself, I'm a professional MMA fighter right now, and I always talk about energy, of where you spend your energy and where you shouldn't. And I find with you, like, you don't have that big social media presence. You're probably not on TikTok or Instagram, but you feel the need to, like, you spend your energy in the ring. Is that how you kind of approached your life, where it's like you focus on just a few amount of things, you put 100% towards that, and the rest is kind of just BS?
Yeah, I think that I mean, not like I'm a guy who's not very smart and I don't have any answers about anything, so take my advice with a grain of salt. But like, I kind of observe the people around me, and even like my wife, for instance, is all, her whole job and her whole thing is all about social media and stuff. And I see all these people and see what everybody's doing all the time. It seems just like everybody's just like so obsessed with and so sucked into this world of like the mentions and the likes and the hashtags and the communicating, talking trash back and forth on Twitter. Like, you'll never see me get involved in a flame war on Twitter because it just seems so stupid. There's no, like, anything, you could come up with the coolest line in the world, but to me, if it's in the form of a tweet, it just kind of comes off kind of lame. Like, Clint Eastwood could have said, "Are you feeling lucky, punk?" in a tweet, and it would have came off lame. It's like, no, dude, you gotta say it. You gotta, come on, man. What are you doing with this Twitter? Like, but it just seems like everybody's like so sucked into this thing that they don't stop to enjoy the world around them. And when we get crowds back and stuff, I'm gonna be like feeling that energy live in the building and looking around and soaking up the moment and everything. And you see a lot of people that just get so worried about the little, like, the like minute to minute ratings and
Yeah,
how many likes and hashtags and this and that, and it's just like, it seems like a giant waste of mental energy to me, when it's like, when this great thing that's happening right in front of us that we get to be a part of, it's like, that's what I focus on. Like, you just see people like just waste so much of their mental energy, and they get so frustrated with like what's going on their phone. I'm just like, put your phone away, turn it off.
Jon, you've been doing this for a while now, and you've obviously had a decorated career. You've been all over the world. I think people relate to you a lot because you're like the everyday guy, and you actually, even though you don't put the energy on social media and stuff, like, you have no problem sharing that personal life when you cut a promo. Like, one of the best things I thought you ever did, and the one thing that really touched me, was when you're with your previous employer, and you gave a promo about technicalities. It was when you were, I think, feuding with Seth Rollins. You just lost the championship, I believe, and you spoke on technicalities a little bit. And when you portrayed that promo, you got the sense that you're speaking from the heart and you're speaking from everyday experience. So in your career of, once again, either you're putting on an act or you're being you, but is it easier to draw from stuff that you've been through and stuff that you've gone through? Or is it harder because now you're being a little more personal to that crowd?
No, I find it easier to just to draw on personal experience. I think everybody, I mean, it's the classic cliche about like, it's best wrestling characters are yourself turned up to 11 or whatever. I don't really even have a character. Like, well, if people say like, "Oh, what's your character?" I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of go out there and I don't know what depending on what the situation is. If like, I'll react the way I would in real life. Like, brother on the TV, the rapper dudes, they make a joke about my wife. What would I do? I would break their face open in a matter of seconds, and that's what we did. And that sets the moral nexus of the universe back on track. Like, that's what needs to happen. Talk some shit, you get punched in the mouth. Or like, if I'm fighting my friend and I don't really want to completely leave him left for dead in the ring, I might give him a chance to, like the match I had with Eddie. I might give him one chance to just like wave his white flag, and then if not, okay, man, you know, or whatever. Like whatever I would do in real life in that situation. If I'm in a good mood and I'm feeling like fun and happy, I'll portray that in the ring. Whatever. If I'm woke up on the wrong side of the bed that morning, or it's 2 a.m. and we're still filming and I'm pissed off that I'm still here at 2 a.m, I'm gonna walk to the ring and be pissed off that I'm still here at 2 a.m. filming Dynamite or whatever, and I might portray that in the ring. Just whatever. Like I don't really put on much of a mask or anything when I go to the ring. If I'm pumped up and ready to fight, then that's what I'm gonna portray. If depends, you know. So I don't really have to me it's much easier to because then I don't have to think about anything. I don't have to like. And there are other characters that you know, the person portrays a completely fictional character.
Correct.
And like Kane is not really Undertaker's brother or whatever. So they have to get into the mindset of like, okay, our mother died in a fire or whatever, all that story, you know, and all that stuff is great.
Yeah.
And maybe one day I'll come up with some new character and I'll call myself like the Sasquatch man or something. I'm the man who lives among Sasquatches or something. And I come out like dressed like a lumberjack and I have this whole persona. And then I'll occupy the space of that. But right now, that's not what I'm doing. And you know.
But you mentioned Eddie Kingston, and he seems like a guy who is cut from the same cloth as you are. The guy that's paid his dues. He essentially, I feel like he got the gig because he poured his heart and soul onto the mic. Twitter reacted to it and said Tony Khan signed this guy, and now he's in AEW. What is it like working with Eddie Kingston? Kind of, I feel like you guys are two like kindred spirits in a way.
Yeah, like when he came in just on that very first night, I hadn't seen him in a really long time. And you know, because you know, you get on the road and your paths don't really cross. Like I can't even remember the last time I actually seen him in real life. And it's funny because some people you see that you haven't seen in however many years, and they look different and they sound different and they're in a different place in life, and you just don't. It's just like, oh hey man, what's up with you? Oh, okay, and it's weird. It's like kind of like, okay, well our lives went different directions and now we're just kind of acquaintances. But with Eddie is like one of those situations where sometimes you have those people where you just completely fall right back into it. So it's like first time I hadn't seen Eddie in like I can't even know how many years. Then after the show, we're just sitting there, and it was literally like I'd seen him yesterday. Like it was like no time had passed. He was the exact same. I was the exact same, and I was like, that feels weird. I feel like I saw you like last week, but I haven't seen you in like years. So like. And so it's been really fun doing this. So, and I'm down to keep doing it because it's just, and we get a chance to wrestle Young Bucks this weekend, who are like one of the best tag teams ever. And I like tag team wrestling. You know, I've had some really great tag team partners over the years. Sami Callihan was part of a pretty successful team in WWE. You may have heard of us, you know. So I love tag team wrestling.
Yeah,
Get a chance to go out there with my good friend with one of the best tag teams and put on a show of tag team wrestling is pretty cool. But all the stuff we do with the promos and crashing trucks into trailers and all that, it's just when you see me and him on camera, that's just us in real life, and they just turn the camera on. The real money is going to be in like the outtake footage, the four DVD set of just the cutting room floor stuff with me and Eddie that they couldn't put on TV or wouldn't put on TV or just didn't have enough time for. That's what they keep telling me is like, that's going to be the real money is like all the outtake footage of just me and him. But we don't have to have a script. We don't have to even talk about like a promo. If there's like, you guys are going to talk about whatever, we just wing it. And I just play off him and see what he does. And I you know, so it's really fun. It's kind of light and fun. But like when the bell rings, then these tag team matches we've been having, and Elevation and Dark and Dynamite, we just go out there and wreck people because because we have that similar mindset when the bell rings that like this is a fight, and this is this isn't golf. You know, we're not out here strategizing, taking our time. Like no, this is our mentality when we're together in a ring is. This is 2:30 in the morning. The bar just closed. These dudes are talking shit. And now we're going to beat the shit out of them, kick them in the mouth, you know, knock some teeth out. And when the cops get here, we'll just let them sort it out. But like, something's like, you know what I mean? But some glass is getting broken over somebody's head. Like, this is just what needs to happen. Like,
when you had the opportunity to wrestle against Nagata here, and it was an interesting match because the entrance music was different, right? We're accustomed to the same thing, and all of a sudden you had a new theme, and it was Wild Thing. And obviously the crowd caught on right away. They started singing along a little bit. Obviously, there's a story behind that song when it comes to, Japanese wrestling. What did you feel about when, I think it was a surprise on you, they sprung it up on you. How did you feel about that? And how do you feel about it going forward now?
Yeah, I didn't know. And the crowd was so loud. I was all hyped up and in a zone. And I was standing back there in the hallway with Eddie. I was real proud of that whole 10 minutes of television. It just made everybody feel so happy. And Nagata got treated like a legend. We went out there and beat the piss out of each other for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, Tony, we need to got to have Nagata come out of the back, like an old school pride fight kind of thing. Because we need to make it look like this is just going to be a fight. Like, you got to set the tone that this is different than a normal match on Dynamite. This is like a big New Japan cross promotional fight thing, So we did that, and it had that big match feel, which was awesome. So I was all hyped up and feeling like it was real to me. So with the crowd and everything, I didn't hear the music at all. I was just burning rubber to the ring.
Yeah.
And when I was in the ring, I heard a flute. I was like, what the hell is that? And at first I thought it was Season of the Witch. Like, I saw Season of the Witch. And I was like,
yeah,
does Nagata come out to Season of the Witch? How have I never noticed that? And I was like, wait, I just came out. And then for a split second, I got really mad because I thought they were playing house music and we had gone to commercial break, which we weren't supposed to do. So I was like, for a half a second, I was pissed. I was like, did we just go to freaking commercial break? And then the match started and I went, oh, okay, I guess not. And then I completely forgot about it. Then after the match, I kind of realized, I was like, that's the Trog's Wild Thing. And I was like, oh, I guess that's my music now. And I was like, I kind of like that. Cool. I could deal with that. All right. I'm into it. So I didn't know, but the crowd liked it. Everybody was happy, and that's all that's important to me. So if they like it, I like it.
And I'm sure you've thought this before, but if you could pick any song, if you could license any song to walk out to, in your wrestling career, what would be that?
Oh man, that's too hard because I've come out of so many different songs. I like my New Japan music, AEW music. I like the Wild Thing. I'll come out the whole Nirvana, everything in between. I'm like, I'll change it on the day depending on what I'll be like. Hey, just for tonight, I'm coming out to this. Just because I'm in the mood to walk out to a different song or something. So I can never pick one because I'm too flaky with the music because I love so many different songs. Yeah. I'm a big music fan, so I'll switch it up every single day.
I like it. I always picture you coming out to maybe Misfits Where Eagles Dare. I'm not sure if they can really play that during TNT and stuff like that, but it is what it is.
Oh yeah, I'll make it happen. If I want, I can pull that off.
All right, one final thing here, John. So obviously you said you're not big on Twitter. You don't put a lot of energy to it, but when you do tweet something, it gets a pretty big reaction. And I find this so funny because here's what I picture, man. I picture Oprah Winfrey one day having you on her show as part of the Oprah Book Club. And as she brings you out, she's going to be, and I'm joined by Jon Moxley, who has said about his book, the book of zero fucks and tales of the titty master. Can you explain that tweet, what that meant? Obviously, diehard wrestling fans may know, the casual fan may not know. And just tell us about the book and the whole process.
Yeah, man, it nearly killed me. Writing a book is hard. I don't think I'm going to get an opportunity to promote it on Oprah. I highly doubt it. I don't know, though. You never know, because if it turns out to be super successful, then
she's going to have no choice.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I said to him before I signed to do it. I was like, just so you know, because I know how people promote stuff nowadays. I'm like, I'm not going to be shilling this every 30 seconds so don't be sending me hashtags and stuff to use. And I'll give you a couple, but I'll help, but I'm not going to be doing it every 30 seconds. So don't bug me to keep tweeting about it to shill the book. So if I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna make it good and make it very concise, and you get all the information in one good power packed, message,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was. I wrote every single word of it myself because I couldn't stomach the thought of like anybody putting words in my mouth or I mean, if you read the book, you would be like, oh yeah, now I understand exactly why you would write it yourself. But it kind of changed, and like I had no real interest in writing like an autobiography that to me is like wasn't very even interesting. I was like, I was like, no, it almost felt like pretentious to me. I'm like, nobody needs to read my life story. Like, I'm just a wrestler. Like, but then like as I started thinking about it, I was like, well, creating kind of a piece of artwork though that's different than everything else, that's interesting to me. So I started thinking about what it could be, and I kind of had a vision for a type of book. And then I've never written anything before, so as I started kind of writing and then getting the hang of it, and as I started to get a vision for what it would look like. I almost kind of, not so much an autobiography or like a linear story. I kind of look at it like it's like an album or like a record that might start out with an opening track, and then we go high, and then we go low, and then we got the ballad, and then we got this, and then we come back up, and then we close with this. And it kind of encompasses, stuff that happened as recently as 2 weeks ago, all the way to like my first memories of wrestling and every single thing in between. And will be a nice ride kind of because I've through my experience, and I want it to be I also want it to be like I wrote it for the wrestling fan, but also like to give a different perspective on what wrestling is, in case somebody who's not a fan but could still enjoy it as just like a human story, and then might see wrestling in a different way and decide maybe I might start trying to watch some wrestling because this sounds like pretty interesting what they're doing here. So you get it's definitely different than any other wrestling book. I think I've achieved that at least. Whether it's any good, time will tell, but it's definitely different than all the other ones.
And do you find added pressure because I think your wife just released a cookbook? So is there like a friendly competition now to see who can sell more copies? Are you guys supportive of each other, or is it kind of like an open competition?
Well, I am rooting for her to sell more so that she gets like her own like Food Network empire, or gets that Kelly Ripa gig or something like that. The more successful she is, the more I can just be like a stay-at-home dad and just go like wrestle indies on the weekends and just chill. I'm looking for that sugar mama, you know what I'm saying? So like I definitely hope hers is much more successful. I hope at least like I'll never go on Oprah, but if she gets the Oprah gig, maybe then I could go on her show.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Well, Jon Moxley, man, thank you for taking some time out. We'll see you this Sunday, AEW Double or Nothing. I'm not sure if tickets are available or not, but like John said, if you can't find them, you can probably find them someplace.
Yeah, you just got to hustle, man.
You got to hustle, man. All right, man, take it easy. Appreciate it.
All right, anytime, man.